I was not born to be ruled, I was born to rule. That belief shaped every decision I ever made. When the world hesitated, I acted. When others doubted, I declared. Victory begins in the mind. You must see yourself as a conqueror before the world. Seize your crown. Stop asking for approval. Start forging your legacy. Because the world bows only to those who demand it. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? Listen to me closely, for I speak not as a mere advisor, but as one who has commanded armies and reshaped continents. Your life, at this very moment, is a battlefield. And on this battlefield, you are either advancing or retreating. There is no middle ground. I see you there, hesitating at the edge of greatness, contemplating whether you're worthy of the crown you desire. This hesitation, this acceptance of the ordinary, it disgusts me. Every morning when you rise, mediocrity whispers to you, doesn't it? Stay comfortable, stay safe, stay small. And every day you listen to this poison. Let me tell you, what I see when I look at the masses, I see armies of sleepwalkers, battalions of the defeated, legions of those who surrendered before the battle began. They wake up, they exist, they sleep, and they call this living. Is this what you want for yourself? To be another faceless soldier in the army of the average? No. Today we declare war, not on others, but on the mediocrity that has made its home in your mind. The time for half measures is over. The time for maybe tomorrow is dead. You must attack each day with the fury of 1,000 cannons. Your goals are not wishes, they are orders from your future self. Here is your first command. For the next 24 hours, treat every decision as if it were a military operation. Your morning routine, a tactical assault on laziness. Your work, a campaign against complacency. Your conversations, strategic maneuvers toward victory. What makes you think the great ones, the ones whose names echo through history, achieved their destiny by accepting what life handed them? They seized it. They declared war on the ordinary, and they fought that war every single day until victory was absolute. Remember this: mediocrity is not your natural state. It is an enemy occupation of your potential. And today, right now, you begin the resistance. You begin the revolution against everything that has held you in chains of comfort and compromise. When I was born, I was nothing but a minor nobleman's son on a conquered island. But in my mind and in my very soul, I saw myself wearing the crown of Europe. The world did not give me permission to become emperor. I seized that identity first, in my mind, then in reality. You wonder why you remain trapped in mediocrity. Look at how you carry yourself. Listen to how you speak about your future. You treat yourself like a foot soldier when you were born to be a general. Your identity, the very essence of who you believe yourself to be, this is not some philosophical concept. It is your destiny's blueprint. Here is what the masses will never understand. The world doesn't tell you who you are. You tell the world. When I entered a room, I didn't wait for others to recognize my authority. I commanded it. Every gesture, every word, every silence, all of it declared, an emperor stands before you. Your current position in life is merely a temporary encampment. But your identity? That is your empire's foundation. Tell me, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? A worker waiting for promotion, a dreamer waiting for permission? Or do you see what I saw, a force of nature waiting to be unleashed? Change your identity, and you change your destiny. This is not positive thinking. This is strategic warfare. When you wake tomorrow, you will not try to be better. You will be better. You will not work toward success. You will operate as someone who is already victorious. Let me give you your next command. For 1 week, you will carry yourself as if your greatest victory has already been achieved. Your posture, your voice, your decisions, all must reflect this new identity. The world will resist at first. Let it. Resistance is merely life testing your resolve. Remember, every great figure in history first conquered the battle of identity. They didn't become great and then think greatly. They thought greatly first, and their reality rose to match their thoughts. You are not here to fit into the world's mold. You are here to break it and create your own. Begin now. Take your place among the great ones, not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Now. When I stood before the gates of destiny, do you think I waited for someone to open them? No. I broke them down. The world does not grant greatness. It surrenders to those who dare to take it. And today, I will teach you the art of seizing your vision without asking for permission. Let me tell you something that the history books often miss. Before I became emperor, before I commanded armies, I was dismissed, mocked, even exiled. But here is the crucial difference between myself and the countless others who fade into obscurity. I never once asked for validation. My vision was not up for debate. You see, the masses are trained like dogs to sit and wait for approval. They create vision boards and then seek opinions. They draft plans and then ask, "What do you think?" This is the behavior of servants, not sovereigns. A true vision needs no committee, no focus group, no round of applause. Your vision must be as clear as a battle plan and as unshakable as your will to live. When I saw France, I didn't see what it was. I saw what it could become under my command. When I looked at Europe, I didn't ask for permission to reshape it. I simply began the work. Here is what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary seek consensus. The extraordinary seek conquest. Your vision is not a democracy. It is a declaration of war against mediocrity. Stop asking if your dreams are realistic. Start demanding that reality conform to your dreams. Your next command is this: take your greatest vision, the one that makes others uncomfortable, the one they say is too much, and triple it. Why? Because small visions create small results, and small results are a form of treason against your potential. When people say your vision is impossible, smile. When they say you're reaching too high, nod politely. They are not your counsel. Of war, they are obstacles to be overcome. Their doubt is not your concern. Their comfort zone is not your battlefield. Remember this: every empire began as a thought in one person's mind. Every revolution started with one soul who refused to ask for permission to change the world. Your vision is your empire. Guard it, feed it, and most importantly, execute it without apology. In battle, I discovered a truth that would reshape empires. The speed of decision is often more crucial than the decision itself. While others debated, I acted. While they planned, I conquered. And this, my ambitious friend, is why they remember my name and not theirs. Let me share with you the secret of decisive power. Hesitation is death. Every moment you spend in uncertainty is a moment your enemy gains strength. Every second wasted in doubt is territory ceded to mediocrity. You think you're being careful? No. You're being conquered by your own fear. I've watched generals lose battles they could have won simply because they waited for perfect conditions. I've seen empires fall because their leaders chose careful deliberation over bold action. The greatest risk in life is not making a wrong decision, it's making no decision at all. Here is what the history books won't tell you. Many of my greatest victories came from decisions made in minutes, not months. At Austerlitz, at Jena, at Wagram, while my opponents were still consulting their manuals, I was already maneuvering for the kill. Speed creates opportunity. Speed destroys resistance before it can organize. Your mind must become like a sword, sharp, decisive, and ready to strike. No more endless pros and cons lists. No more waiting for the right time. The right time is now. The perfect moment is a myth invented by those too weak to seize the present. Here is your next command. For the next week, make every decision in under a minute. What to wear, decide now. What to eat. Choose immediately. Which project to tackle. Select it in seconds. Your life is not a committee meeting. It's a battlefield. And on the battlefield, hesitation means death. The weak minds will tell you to be reasonable, to sleep on it, to weigh all options. This is the language of defeat. Every great victory in history was seized by those who decided while others deliberated. Every empire was built by those who acted while others advised caution. Remember this: time is not your friend. It is your enemy. Every moment of indecision is a moment of defeat. You want to change your life? Decide. You want to build an empire? Decide. You want to make history? Then for God's sake, stop thinking about it and decide. V. When they told me the Alps were impassable in winter, do you know what I heard? I heard a challenge, not a warning. When they said artillery couldn't cross mountains, I didn't see an obstacle. I saw an opportunity to prove them wrong. This is how empires are built, by turning every impossible into accomplished. Let me tell you about power, real power. It's not about avoiding obstacles. It's about transforming them into advantages. When I faced the combined armies of Europe, each new enemy wasn't a setback. It was a chance to expand my legend. Every obstacle that stands before you is not your enemy. It is your teacher, your springboard, your future victory waiting to be claimed. The masses see a wall and turn back. The mediocre see a wall and wait for a door. But the great see a wall and recognize it as life's command to rise higher, to think smarter, to become stronger. Every obstacle is an order from destiny. Prove your worth, show your power, demonstrate your resolve. Here's what the weak minds will never understand. Problems are not punishments. They are promotions waiting to be earned. When I found my army's short on supplies, we didn't retreat. We learned to live off the land. When conventional tactics failed, we didn't surrender. We invented new ways of warfare. Every limitation became an innovation. Your obstacles are not your excuses. They are your opportunities. That competitor who seems unbeatable, they are teaching you where you must grow. That setback that crushed your plans, it's revealing the weaknesses you must strengthen. That crisis that seems overwhelming, it's your chance to show what you're made of. Here's your next command. Take your greatest current obstacle, the one that keeps you awake at night, and write down 20 ways it makes you stronger. Not how to avoid it, not how to endure it, but how to transform it into your advantage. This is not positive thinking. This is strategic warfare. Remember this: the size of your obstacles reveals the size of your potential. Small problems create small leaders. Big problems forge emperors. When life presents you with mountains, don't pray for a clear path. Demand of yourself the strength to climb. Better yet, build your own path and let others follow in your footsteps. The world remembers those who faced the impossible and said, "Watch me." Every great achievement in history began as someone's insurmountable obstacle. Your obstacles are not your stop signs. They are your starting lines. Now rise, advance, and turn every barrier into a battlefield where you'll claim your victory. Let me tell you about the day I won the Battle of Austerlitz. While others saw a complex battlefield, I saw only one thing: the crucial point where victory would be decided. This singular focus, this ability to cut through the chaos and seize. The essential: this is what separates emperors from servants. Your attention is your army. Right now you're spreading it thin across 1,000 minor skirmishes. Social media, pointless debates, other people's dramas. You're fighting every battle except the one that matters. This is how empires fall, not through defeat, but through distraction. When I planned campaigns, I would lock myself away for hours, studying maps, considering possibilities, focusing on nothing else. The world outside could burn. My attention remained fixed on the objective. This is not concentration. This is conquest. This is not discipline. This is domination. Here's what the masses will never understand. The ability to focus ruthlessly is not a gift. It's a weapon. And like any weapon, it must be forged through practice, sharpened through discipline, and wielded with precision. Your mind must become like a cannon, capable of directing immense power at a single point. Most people's focus is like a candle in the wind, flickering, unreliable, easily extinguished. I demand of you a focus like the sun through a lens. so intense it burns through anything in its path. This is not about working longer hours. This is about bringing total war to every minute you invest. Here's your next command. Choose the one goal that, if accomplished, would most transform your life. For the next 7 days, all other objectives are your enemies. They are not other priorities. They are distractions to be destroyed. Any thought, any activity that does not serve your primary objective is an act of treason against your destiny. You think you know focus? Let me tell you about focus. Focus is saying no to good opportunities because they're not great ones. Focus is cutting off relationships that don't serve your mission. Focus is treating your attention like the empire it is, protecting its borders, expanding its territory, crushing its invaders. Remember this, the world's chaos is not your commander. Your phone is not your general. The opinions of others are not your orders. You have one mission, one target, one point of absolute concentration. Everything else is just noise on the battlefield. Now focus your forces and attack with everything you have. When I invaded Egypt, I ordered our ships burned upon arrival. The men watched their only means of retreat disappear in flames. Some called it madness. I called it commitment. You see, true power emerges only when retreat becomes impossible. When you must advance or die, you will advance. Let me tell you about real commitment, not the weak promises people make while keeping their backup plans warm. When I took the crown of France, I didn't keep a small apartment in Corsica just in case. I seized my destiny with both hands, letting everything else burn. This is how empires are built, through absolute, irreversible commitment. The masses love to keep their options open. They call it being smart, being realistic. I call it being weak. Every backup plan is a planned defeat. Every safety net is a sacred permission to fail. You want to know why most people never achieve greatness? They're too busy building bridges when they should be burning them. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary always leave themselves an escape route. The extraordinary make escape impossible. When I crossed the Alps with my army, retreat wasn't an option. Victory was not a goal. It was the only possible outcome. This is the mindset that reshapes history. Your life right now is full of backup plans, isn't it? The comfortable job you hate, but keep until something better comes along. The mediocre relationships you maintain just in case. The small dreams you nurture while your great ones die of neglect. These are not safety nets. They are chains. Here is your next command. Identify your empire, that one great goal that burns in your soul, and then systematically destroy every escape route that leads away from it. Close the backup accounts. End the backup relationships. Burn the bridges that let you retreat to mediocrity. Make your success the only possible outcome. You think this is extreme? Let me tell you what's extreme. Spending your entire life in the shadow of what could have been because you were too afraid to burn the bridges to average. That's extreme. That's tragedy. Your greatness is not a part-time affair. It's all or nothing. Remember this. History remembers those who burned their bridges, not those who maintained them. Every great achievement in human history was accomplished by someone who made retreat impossible. Your bridges to mediocrity are not your safety. They are your prison. Burn them. Burn them now. Let me tell you about fear. Not the fear you think you know, but the kind that faces you when you stand before armies, when empires hang in the balance. I've seen fear in the eyes of kings, in the trembling hands of generals, in the silence before battle. And I'll tell you this, fear is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. The masses think courage is the absence of fear. This is the philosophy of fools. True power comes not from being fearless, but from being intimate with your fear. I felt fear at Austerlitz, at Jena, at every great battle. But while others were paralyzed by it, I used it. Fear became my fuel, my advisor, my weapon. Here's what the weak minds will never understand. Fear is not a wall. It's a door. Behind every fear lies a power waiting to be claimed. Are you afraid of speaking up? Behind that fear lies the power of command. Afraid of taking risks? Behind that fear lies the power of conquest. Your fears are not warning signs. They're targeting systems. When I was young, they said I was too short, too foreign, too ambitious. These were meant to be chains of fear to keep me in my place. Instead, they became the very things that drove me to greatness. This is the art of fear domination, turning every fear into a foundation for power. Your fears right now are like enemy scouts. They reveal where you must attack. That presentation that terrifies you, that's where your next victory lies. That decision that keeps you awake, that's your next conquest. Stop trying to eliminate fear. Start using it as your battle plan. Here is your next command. Write down your 5 greatest fears. Not the small ones, the ones that make your heart race, that wake you in the night. Now for each fear, write, "This is not my prison, this is my path to power." For the next 7 days, you will attack one fear each day, not avoid it, attack it. You think your fear makes you weak? Let me tell you what makes you weak. Letting fear make your decisions. Every time you let fear choose your path, you surrender another piece of your empire. Every time you back down because of fear, you sign the death warrant of your potential. Remember this, the size of your fears reveals the size of your destiny. Small fears create small lives. Great fears forge emperors. Your fears are not your enemies. They are your training ground. They are not telling you to stop. They are daring you to begin. Now rise, face your fears, and claim the power waiting behind them. Listen carefully, for what I'm about to tell you cost me an empire to learn. Your inner circle is not a social club. It is your war council. I conquered Europe not just with armies, but with marshals who would die for the vision. Every great achievement requires a circle of steel around you, minds and hearts forged in the same fire as your own. The masses surround themselves with comfort. They call anyone who smiles at them a friend. They mistake pleasant conversation for loyalty. This is how dreams die, not by opposition, but by dilution. Your inner circle is not about quantity. It's about quality. It's not about who makes you comfortable. It's about who makes you stronger. When I chose my marshals, I didn't look at their family names or their pleasant manners. I looked for fire in their eyes, steel in their spines, and unwavering loyalty to the mission. These were men who would ride through hell if I commanded it. Not because they feared me, but because they believed in the empire we were building. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary collect friends. The extraordinary build legions. Every person in your inner circle must serve a purpose. They must bring strength, wisdom, courage, or connections. Anything. Less is not friendship. It's sabotage. Look at your inner circle right now. How many would charge into battle with you? How many truly believe in your vision? How many make you stronger, sharper, more dangerous? If you're surrounded by doubters, complainers, and comfort seekers, you're not building an empire. You're running a social club. Here's your next command. Audit your inner circle with the ruthlessness of a commander inspecting his troops. Make 3 lists: the warriors, those who strengthen you; the watchers, those who neither help nor harm; the weakeners, those who drain your power. Then execute your battle plan accordingly. You think this sounds harsh? Let me tell you. What's harsh? Watching your dreams die because you were too loyal to people who were disloyal to your potential. Your destiny is not a democracy. Not everyone gets a vote. Not everyone deserves a place in your war council. Remember this, the greatest forces in history were built by leaders who understood that allegiance to the mission comes before all else. Your inner circle is not about who you've known the longest. It's about who will fight the hardest for where you're going. Build your circle of steel. Your empire depends on it. When they ask how I conquered Europe, they expect tales of brilliant strategy and daring maneuvers. But let me tell you the real secret. It was the discipline of my armies that made victory inevitable. While others slept, we marched. While others rested, we trained. While others celebrated small victories, we prepared for greater ones. Discipline is not a virtue. It is a weapon. The masses love to talk about talent, about genius, about luck. This is the philosophy of the week. I've seen talented armies crushed by disciplined ones. I've watched genius generals defeated by commanders who simply refused to break formation. Your discipline is your edge, sharper than any sword, more powerful than any cannon. Here's what the weak minds will never understand. Discipline is not punishment, it is power. Every morning you rise before the sun, you gain ground on your competitors who sleep. Every repeated action, every consistent habit, every unwavering routine. These are not restrictions. They are the foundations of empire. When I trained my soldiers, I didn't just teach them how to fight, I taught them how to live. The way. They cleaned their weapons, arranged their camps, maintained their uniforms. These weren't mere rules. They were the building blocks of victory. Your daily habits are not small things. They are the architecture of your destiny. Look at your life right now. Where is your discipline? In your sleep schedule, in your work ethic, in your physical training. If you cannot command yourself, you cannot command destiny. If you cannot control your habits, you cannot control an empire. Discipline is not what you do occasionally, it's what you are constantly. Here is your next command. For the next 30 days, you will live like an emperor in training. Choose 3 critical disciplines, one for your mind, one for your body, one for your craft. These are not goals, they are laws. They are not optional. They are mandatory. Break them, and you break yourself. You think discipline restricts freedom? Let me tell you what restricts freedom. Being slave to your impulses, being prisoner to your moods, being captive to your weaknesses. True freedom comes from absolute mastery over yourself. And mastery comes from discipline. Remember this. History is not written by the talented, the lucky, or even the brilliant. History is written by the disciplined, those who showed up every day, who did what needed to be done when no one was watching, who built their empire one consistent action at a time. Your discipline is not your chains, it is your crown. Let me teach you about the power of silence, not the silence of the weak who have nothing to say, but the silence of the strong who need not speak. At my greatest moments of triumph, I said nothing. I let my actions thunder across Europe while others wasted breath on explanations and excuses. The masses cannot bear silence. They fill every moment with noise, every silence with chatter, every pause with pointless words. They announce their plans before they're formed, reveal their thoughts before they're clear, speak their fears into existence. This is how power disperses, through endless, meaningless talk. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary speak to fill space. The extraordinary use silence to create it. When I entered a room of generals, I didn't immediately speak. I let the silence build until they could feel the weight of my presence. This is not about being mysterious. This is about being powerful. Your words are like ammunition. Once fired, they cannot be recalled. The more you speak, the more you reveal. The more you explain, the more you expose. Every time you feel compelled to speak, ask yourself, does this silence serve me better? Every time you rush to respond, remember, patience is also a form of action. Look at your communication right now. How many words do you waste? How many victories do you diminish by explaining them? How many battles do you lose by announcing them? Silence is not the absence of power. It is power concentrated. It is power waiting to be unleashed. Here is your next command. For the next 7 days, you will cut your words in half. Every message, every conversation, every response, reduce it by 50%. Not by speaking faster, but by speaking with purpose. Let your silence make them wonder. Let your actions do the talking. You think silence makes you weak? Let me tell you what makes you weak. The constant need to explain yourself, to justify your actions, to convince others of your worth. True power needs no explanation. True authority requires no constant confirmation. Your silence is not your weakness. It is your strength. Remember this: the greatest movements in history began in silence. The most powerful decisions were made in silence. The most devastating attacks came from silence. Your silence is not empty. It is filled with potential energy, with gathering strength, with power waiting to be unleashed. Now go forth and let your actions roar while your words whisper. Before I ever set foot on a battlefield, I had already won the war in my mind. While others were counting soldiers, I was counting victories. While they studied tactics, I visualized triumph. Let me tell you the truth that every conqueror knows. The decisive battle is not fought with swords or cannons. It is fought in the chambers of your mind. The masses think preparation means only physical readiness. They train their bodies, sharpen their skills, gather their resources. But they neglect the most powerful weapon they possess, their mind. Every great victory is won twice, first in the mind, then in reality. This is not positive thinking. This is strategic warfare. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary prepare for what might go wrong. The extraordinary prepare for how they'll triumph regardless. Before Austerlitz, I walked the battlefield in my mind 100 times. I saw every move, every counter-move, every victory. By the time the real battle began, I was simply executing what I had already achieved in my mind. Your mind is not just a tool. It is your first and most important battlefield. Every doubt you allow to live is an enemy soldier behind your lines. Every negative thought you entertain is a breach in your defenses. Every moment of hesitation is a battle lost before it begins. You must become as strategic with your thoughts as a general is with his troops. Look at your mental state right now. Are you commanding your thoughts, or are they commanding you? Are you visualizing victory or rehearsing defeat? Are you preparing for triumph or bracing for failure? The quality of your mental preparation determines the quality of your results. Here is your next command. Before every significant engagement, every meeting, every presentation, every challenge, you will spend twice as long preparing mentally as you do physically. You will see yourself succeeding. You will feel the victory. You will experience the triumph before it happens. This is not daydreaming. This is mental conquest. You think this sounds like fantasy? Let me tell you what's fantasy. Believing you can achieve greatness while your mind is filled with doubt. Believing you can conquer others when you haven't first conquered your own thoughts. Your mind is not your enemy. It is your empire. Rule it accordingly. Remember this: the greatest battles in history were won in the minds of leaders long before they were won on the field. Your mental preparation is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Your thoughts are not random events. They are strategic assets. Now go forth and win first in your mind. Reality will follow. Let me tell you about the true nature of victory. It belongs not to the swiftest, not to the strongest, but to those who can endure. When others retreated from Moscow, I marched on. When others surrendered to winter, I fought through it. The greatest power you can possess is not speed or strength. It is the ability to continue when everyone else has stopped. The masses love to talk about talent, about inspiration, about moments of brilliance. This is the philosophy of amateurs. I've seen talented generals break under pressure. I've watched inspired armies crumble in the face of hardship. But I've never seen a truly determined soul fail to achieve their destiny. Endurance is not a skill. It is a power. Here's what the weak minds will never understand. Victory doesn't go to the one who wants it most. It goes to the one who can suffer longest for it. When I crossed the Alps, it wasn't my strategy that got us through. It was our capacity to endure what others called impossible. Your ability to continue is your greatest strategic advantage. Every great achievement in history was accomplished, not by those who did it fastest, but by those who simply refused to stop. The pyramids weren't built by the strongest workers, and they were built by those who showed up day after day, stone after stone. Your persistence is not just a trait, it is your most powerful weapon. Look at your life right now. Where do you stop Where do you break? Where do you retreat? These are not your limitations. These are your training grounds. Every time you continue when others would quit, you're not just advancing, you're becoming unstoppable. Endurance is not about pain, it's about power. Here is your next command. Choose your hardest goal, the one that seems impossible, the one that would break most people. For the next 30 days, you will work on it every single day. No excuses, no breaks, no retreat. Not because it's easy, but because it's hard. Your capacity to endure will grow with every day you refuse to quit. You think this is too demanding? Let me tell you what's too demanding. Living with the knowledge that you quit when victory was one more step away. Living with the reality that you surrendered when one more push would have changed everything. Your comfort is not your friend. It is your prison. Remember this. History remembers those who endured, not those who started strong. The greatest achievements were not accomplished by those who never failed, but by those who refused to stop failing until they succeeded. Your endurance is not your burden. It is your breakthrough waiting to happen. When they offered me a comfortable life in Corsica, I laughed. When they suggested I be content with being a mere general, I refused. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Every empire in history was built by those who chose legacy over luxury, who sacrificed ease for immortality. Let me teach you about the price of being remembered. The masses live today's pleasures. They chase comfortable homes, easy relationships, safe careers. This is not living. This is dying slowly. I've seen men with every comfort sink into oblivion, while those who chose the hard path carved their names into history. Your comfort is not your friend. It is your first enemy. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary ask, how can I make my life easier? The extraordinary ask, how can I make my life matter? When I redesigned Paris, when I created the Code Napoleon, I wasn't thinking of comfort. I was thinking of centuries. Your actions must echo through time, not just through today. Look at your decisions right now. How many serve your comfort? How many serve your legacy? Every time you choose the easy path, you're voting for being forgotten. Every time you opt for comfort over growth, you're choosing obscurity over immortality. Your legacy is not built in comfort zones, it's built in the fires of challenge. The great ones understand this. Comfort is the poison that kills ambition. Easy lives create forgotten names. Safe choices lead to silent exits from history. You think you want comfort? No. Deep in your soul, you want significance. You want to leave a mark that time cannot erase. Here is your next command. List every comfort that's holding you back, every easy routine, every safe harbor, every comfortable excuse. For the next month, you will systematically destroy these comfort zones, not because comfort is evil, but because greatness lies beyond its borders. You think this sounds extreme? Let me tell you what's extreme. Spending your entire life in the warm embrace of mediocrity while your potential for greatness dies of neglect. That's extreme. Your comfort is not your friend. It is your tomb, decorated to look like a home. Remember this. No one builds statues to celebrate those who chose comfort. History doesn't remember those who played it safe. Your legacy is not created in moments of ease. It is forged in moments of challenge, carved out of hardship, built on the foundation of difficult choices. Now choose. Will you live comfortably and die forgotten, or live challengingly and leave a legacy that time cannot erase? When I entered a room, men felt it before they saw me. When I spoke, armies moved not because of my words, but because of the force behind them. Let me teach you about true presence, not the shallow charisma that charms, but the deep power that commands. Every great leader knows presence is not learned, it is claimed. The masses think leadership is about speaking well or standing tall. They practice their speeches, polish their appearances, memorize their lines. But true command presence comes from something deeper. It comes from absolute certainty in your own destiny. I didn't need to be the tallest in the room. I needed only to be the most certain. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary try to impress. The extraordinary simply express. When I addressed my troops before battle, I didn't try to convince them of anything. I simply shared my unwavering conviction in our victory. Your presence must not beg for attention, it must command it. Your presence is not about your words, it's about your energy. When you enter a room, what enters with you? Doubt, fear, hesitation? Or does absolute certainty walk beside you? Every gesture, every silence, every movement must declare, an emperor stands before you. This is not arrogance, this is authority. Look at how you carry yourself right now. Are you asking for respect, or are you commanding it? Are you hoping for attention, or are you assuming it? Your presence is not a performance. It is a projection of your inner certainty. If you doubt yourself within, you will leak weakness without. Here is your next command. For the next 7 days, you will move through the world as if you already wear the crown, not with arrogance, but with absolute certainty. Every room you enter, every conversation you have, every decision you make, do it with the presence of someone who knows their destiny is assured. You think this sounds like acting. Let me tell you what acting looks like. Pretending to be small when you know you're meant for greatness. Pretending to be uncertain when you know your path. Your presence is not a mask you wear. It is a power you unleash. Remember this, the greatest leaders in history didn't need to speak to be heard. Their presence spoke before their words did. Your presence is not about dominating others. It's about being so certain of your path that others naturally align with your direction. Now go forth and let your presence declare what your words need not say. When I took the crown of France, I didn't wait for permission. When I reshaped Europe, I didn't seek approval. Let me teach you the most liberating truth of power. The need for approval is the last chain of the slave. Every great achievement in history was accomplished by those who dared to move without consensus. The masses are addicted to approval. They post their lives seeking likes. They shape their dreams around others' opinions. They wait for permission to become who they are meant to be. This is not caution. This is cowardice. This is not wisdom. This is weakness. Your greatness cannot be subject to committee decision. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary seek validation before action. The extraordinary act from inner conviction. When I implemented the continental system, Europe protested. When I established the Code Napoleon, critics emerged. But I didn't need their permission to reshape history. Your vision needs no external validation. Look at your life right now. How many of your decisions are truly yours? How many are shaped by the fear of disapproval? How many dreams have you abandoned because others didn't understand them? Every time you seek approval, you surrender power. Every time you wait for permission, you waste time. The great ones understand this. Approval is a cage built by mediocrity. To contain greatness, the world never approves of what it cannot control. Your most powerful moves will be questioned. Your boldest decisions will be criticized. This is not a sign you're wrong. It's a sign you're leading. Here is your next command. For the next 30 days, you will make every significant decision without seeking approval. Not recklessly, but sovereignly. You will inform, not ask. You will proceed, not petition. You will act, not appeal. This is not about being inconsiderate. It's about being unconquerable. You think this sounds selfish? Let me tell you what's selfish. Denying the world your greatness because you're afraid of criticism. Holding back your gifts because you're waiting for applause. Your potential is not a democracy. It doesn't need votes to be valid. Remember this. No great vision was ever approved by committee. No empire was ever built by consensus. Your need for approval is not humility, it is bondage. Break these chains. Your destiny is too important to be decided by those who cannot comprehend it. Now go forth and claim your sovereignty. When I took the crown of France, I didn't wait for permission. When I reshaped Europe, I didn't seek approval. Let me teach you the most liberating truth of power. The need for approval is the last chain of the slave. Every great achievement in history was accomplished by those who dared to move without consensus. The masses are addicted to approval. They post their lives seeking likes. They shape their dreams around others' opinions. They wait for permission to become who they are meant to be. This is not caution. This is cowardice. This is not wisdom. This is weakness. Your greatness cannot be subject to committee decision. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary seek validation before action. The extraordinary act from inner conviction. When I implemented the continental system, Europe protested. When I established the Code Napoleon, critics emerged. But I didn't need their permission to reshape history. Your vision needs no external validation. Look at your life right now. How many of your decisions are truly yours? How many are shaped by the fear of disapproval? How many dreams have you abandoned because others didn't understand them? Every time you seek approval, you surrender power. Every time you wait for permission, you waste time. The great ones understand this. Approval is a cage built by mediocrity. To contain greatness, the world never approves of what it cannot control. Your most powerful moves will be questioned. Your boldest decisions will be criticized. This is not a sign you're wrong. It's a sign you're leading. Here is your next command. For the next 30 days, you will make every significant decision without seeking approval. Not recklessly, but sovereignly. You will inform, not ask. You will proceed, not petition. You will act, not appeal. This is not about being inconsiderate. It's about being unconquerable. You think this sounds selfish? Let me tell you what's selfish. Denying the world your greatness because you're afraid of criticism. Holding back your gifts because you're waiting for applause. Your potential is not a democracy. It doesn't need votes to be valid. Remember this. No great vision was ever approved by committee. No empire was ever built by consensus. Your need for approval is not humility, it is bondage. Break these chains. Your destiny is too important to be decided by those who cannot comprehend it. Now go forth and claim your sovereignty. When I took the crown of France, I didn't wait for permission. When I reshaped Europe, I didn't seek approval. Let me teach you the most liberating truth of power. The need for approval is the last chain of the slave. Every great achievement in history was accomplished by those who dared to move without consensus. The masses are addicted to approval. They post their lives seeking likes. They shape their dreams around others' opinions. They wait for permission to become who they are meant to be. This is not caution. This is cowardice. This is not wisdom. This is weakness. Your greatness cannot be subject to committee decision. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary seek validation before action. The extraordinary act from inner conviction. When I implemented the continental system, Europe protested. When I established the Code Napoleon, critics emerged. But I didn't need their permission to reshape history. Your vision needs no external validation. Look at your life right now. How many of your decisions are truly yours? How many are shaped by the fear of disapproval? How many dreams have you abandoned because others didn't understand them? Every time you seek approval, you surrender power. Every time you wait for permission, you waste time. The great ones understand this. Approval is a cage built by mediocrity. To contain greatness, the world never approves of what it cannot control. Your most powerful moves will be questioned. Your boldest decisions will be criticized. This is not a sign you're wrong. It's a sign you're leading. Here is your next command. For the next 30 days, you will make every significant decision without seeking approval. Not recklessly, but sovereignly. You will inform, not ask. You will proceed, not petition. You will act, not appeal. This is not about being inconsiderate. It's about being unconquerable. You think this sounds selfish? Let me tell you what's selfish. Denying the world your greatness because you're afraid of criticism. Holding back your gifts because you're waiting for applause. Your potential is not a democracy. It doesn't need votes to be valid. Remember this: no great vision was ever approved by committee. No empire was ever built by consensus. Your need for approval is not humility. It is bondage. Break these chains. Your destiny is too important to be decided by those who cannot comprehend it. Now, go forth and claim your sovereignty. When I led armies, I didn't suggest, I commanded. When I shaped nations, I didn't propose, I decreed. Let me teach you about true leadership. It's not about being liked, it's about being followed. It's not about being gentle, it's about being clear. The world follows those who burn with absolute certainty. The masses confuse leadership with popularity. They think leading means pleasing everyone, avoiding conflict, maintaining peace at all costs. This is not leadership. This is surrender. I've seen armies fall not because of enemy strength, but because of unclear commands. Your clarity is your power. Your fire is your force. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary try to lead by consensus. The extraordinary lead by conviction. When I gave orders, there was no room for interpretation, no space for doubt. My words carried the weight of absolute certainty. Your direction must be as clear as cannon fire and as powerful as its impact. Look at how you lead right now. Are you suggesting or commanding? Are you hoping or directing? Are you asking for followers or creating them? Every unclear message is a battle lost before it begins. Every wavering decision is a soldier left without orders. Your clarity is not optional. It is essential. The great ones understand this. Leadership is not a collaborative exercise. It is a directive force. When you speak, your words must carry the fire of unshakable conviction. When you move, your actions must demonstrate unwavering purpose. This is not about being harsh. It's about being clear. Here is your next command. For the next 7 days, you will lead everything in your domain with absolute clarity and fierce conviction. Your requests become commands. Your hopes become expectations. Your ideas become directives, not with arrogance, but with the clear fire of certainty. You think this sounds too forceful? Let me tell you what's truly forceful. The mediocrity that spreads when leaders refuse to lead with fire. The confusion that reigns when commanders fear to command. Your fire is not your weakness. It is your strength. Remember this. The greatest movements in history were led by those who burned with clarity of purpose. No great achievement was ever accomplished by gentle suggestions or timid requests. Your fire is not something to contain. It is something to unleash. Now go forth and lead with the clarity that changes worlds. When I led armies, I didn't suggest. I commanded. When I shaped nations, I didn't propose. I decreed. Let me teach you about true leadership. It's not about being liked, it's about being followed. It's not about being gentle, it's about being clear. The world follows those who burn with absolute certainty. The masses confuse leadership with popularity. They think leading means pleasing everyone, avoiding conflict, maintaining peace at all costs. This is not leadership. This is surrender. I've seen armies fall not because of enemy strength, but because of unclear commands. Your clarity is your power. Your fire is your force. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary try to lead by consensus. The extraordinary lead by conviction. When I gave orders, there was no room for interpretation, no space for doubt. My words carried the weight of absolute certainty. Your direction must be as clear as cannon fire and as powerful as its impact. Look at how you lead right now. Are you suggesting or commanding? Are you hoping or directing? Are you asking for followers or creating them? Every unclear message is a battle lost before it begins. Every wavering decision is a soldier left without orders. Your clarity is not optional. It is essential. The great ones understand this. Leadership is not a collaborative exercise, it is a directive force. When you speak, your words must carry the fire of unshakable conviction. When you move, your actions must demonstrate unwavering purpose. This is not about being harsh, it's about being clear. Here is your next command. For the next 7 days, you will lead everything. In your domain with absolute clarity and fierce conviction. Your requests become commands. Your hopes become expectations. Your ideas become directives, not with arrogance, but with the clear fire of certainty. You think this sounds too forceful? Let me tell you what's truly forceful, the mediocrity that spreads when leaders refuse to lead with fire, the confusion that reigns when commanders fear to command. Your fire is not your weakness, it is your strength. Remember this, the greatest movements in history were led by those who burned with clarity of purpose. No great achievement was ever accomplished by gentle suggestions or timid requests. Your fire is not something to contain, it is something to unleash. Now go forth and lead with the clarity that changes worlds. Even in exile on St. Helena, I remained an emperor in my mind. Even in defeat, I never surrendered my vision. Let me teach you the final and most crucial lesson of power. It's not about how you start, it's about how you end. Your last breath should be drawn in pursuit of greatness, your final moment spent advancing toward glory. The masses fear death, so they never truly live. They exist in safe harbors, never venturing into the storms where legends are made. But I tell you this, death comes to us all. The only choice is whether it finds you retreating or advancing, hiding or conquering, living small or dying great. Here's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ordinary seek a peaceful end. The extraordinary seek an ending, worthy of their story. When I fought at Waterloo, I didn't fight to survive. I fought to remain true to my destiny. Your end is not something to avoid. It is something to make meaningful. Look at how you're living right now. Are you advancing or retreating? Are you building or maintaining? Are you creating legend or seeking comfort? Every day that you live beneath your potential is a day you've surrendered to mediocrity. Every moment spent in safety rather than significance is a moment wasted. The great ones understand this. Your life is a campaign, not a vacation. Every day is a battle for significance. Every moment a chance to carve your name deeper into history. This is not about longevity. It's about legacy, not about duration, but about impact. Here is your final command. Live each day as if it were both your first and your last. Attack each morning with the fire of a beginning and the urgency of an ending. Don't just exist, advance. Don't just survive, conquer. Your life is not a gentle stream. It is a conquering force. You think this sounds too intense? Let me tell you what's truly intense. Reaching your final day and realizing you lived beneath your potential, facing your last moment, knowing you chose safety over significance. Your intensity is not your burden, it is your gift to history. Remember this, the greatest lives were not those that ended in peaceful sleep, but those that ended in glorious advance. Your end will come. The only question is, will it find you charging forward with your flag flying high or hiding in the comfort of mediocrity? Now go forth and let every heartbeat be a drum of war against average, every breath a declaration of your refusal to surrender to ordinary.